How can I serve you with the best today, Crystal?
So, something that I have been struggling with is figuring out my niche as a coach. Um, so, the one thing that I know for sure is that to I want to empower people to live in abundance. Um, Not just abundance on the monetary side. I understand and I respect that money is a tool that can be useful to help a lot of people. Um, but my foundation, God is my relationship with God is my foundation. Um, Followed by self care and boundaries, followed by having healthy relationships, followed by giving back, um, and then followed by monetary, and having wealth not just for myself and my family, but to help other people.
Mhm.
Um, so I do want my main focus to be on abundance, um, but focusing on who I want to help is where my problem lies. I want to help people find their purpose, and then when they step into their purpose, um, they can therefore have abundance in all areas of their lives. Um, so a little bit about me is I am an empath. Um, so with that, I have come to realize that growing up, I always thought that being an empath was that my sensitivity was my downfall.
Mm.
Um, that my sensitivity was the reason that I guess maybe I wasn't, that it was hard for me to cope with bad things that happened to me. So this whole time, I feel like I've been looking at my sensitivity as a hindrance, as kind of a barrier to moving forward. And the whole time, like growing up, even as a little kid, my mom would do things that do hurtful things to me, would abuse me verbally, emotionally, and physically, and then would tell me that I was too sensitive. And I didn't understand. And she would say things like, "What's wrong with you?" and make it seem as if I was the problem. So I've gone through life not feeling whole, feeling like something was wrong with me because my mom would literally tell me there was something wrong with me. And finally, I realized like I'm not a drug addict. I'm a wonderful mom. I'm a good wife. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with me. And it's like I finally realized that I'm not perfect by any means, nor will I ever be, but there's nothing actually wrong with me. It was just my mom would use my sensitivity as a weapon against me.
Mhm.
So, with realizing that, um, I'd originally wanted to help empaths because through my research, I found that uh, narcissists are attracted to us, that we're a good supply for narcissists.
To us?
So
What do you mean to us?
to empaths.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I guess something that I'm realizing, empaths do need help in that capacity, but I'm not just an empath. I'm also a child abuse survivor. So I guess I'm trying to figure out who needs more help. Because as I'm doing more research and joining Facebook groups, the narcissism pattern is very prevalent. But then I also have been watching some documentaries, and not all empaths go through child abuse. There's more people that suffer. There are more adults that suffer from child abuse than there are empaths that suffer from narcissism. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay. I see, I hear that you've gone through a lot in your life, in your childhood, through how your mother behaved, how she behaved, and I would. Okay, so what do you want to create out of it? Where do you want to go from this moment on in our conversation?
I guess I want to create a safe space for whoever needs it the most, but I'm trying to figure out who needs it the most, I guess. Because I guess I'm under the impression that if you try to service everyone, you then end up servicing no one.
Who needs my help the most?
Yes.
And do you have any ideas? How would you like to explore this?
I guess when I think of who in society is, I want to say helpless, is, and it's, I want to say helpless, but yeah, I don't want to say helpless, but yes, helpless are usually like children. Because I guess what growing up is I wanted to ask for help, but there was always this thought of, if you do something about it, if you say something, you could end up in a worse situation than what you're in now. So my mindset as a child was, you just need to get old enough to get away. So I know through all of the things that I've been doing, it always leads me back to self-esteem, always feeling that I'm not enough.
Let me ask you, do you feel old enough now?
Yes, I'm realizing that I have the ability. I am in control. I have the power to make my decisions.
Okay. So, Crystal, if I heard you correctly, the result, the outcome that you want to get out of this conversation is to find out what is your niche and specifically who needs my help the most.
Yes.
How would you like to explore this?
Well, I guess I had made a list of different possibilities. So I know that I am creating my coaching business. This is not the first business that I've created. I went to school for videography for telecommunications. And I did have my own wedding cinematography company. After my first year, I'd won an award. I was doing very well, but I quickly became burnt out. I quickly became overwhelmed. Those are also common traits for empaths. But what through going through my past and trying to figure out what went wrong with my business, it ultimately was the burnout. It was the the overwhelm was due to me, one, trying to be a perfectionist, and also not being able to find help. But it wasn't that I wasn't able to find help. It was that I wasn't able to pay the help that was on the level that I had needed. And it ultimately came down to I should have raised my prices. But I couldn't find the value in myself to raise my prices. I had won an award. I had become very busy, where I had 3 weddings in a weekend. Even after I shut down, I still had people coming to me to say, hey, can you still, would you consider? But I just was done. Once I closed the door, I was done. I was mentally just done. So I knew that I had lacked self-care and that I was lacking self-esteem. So now I don't know. It kind of is both. Empaths lack self-care and self-esteem due to always feeling different, feelings if they're different. But adult children of child abuse also lack self-esteem due to being abused. So I still am in the same boat of being stuck between the two. But I also do think that I want to work with other entrepreneurs. I really, even though I am an empath and it seems that we well, I want to say they because they tend to be introverts, but I'm not really an introvert. I enjoy being around people as long as they are good people. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy working with people. It's just negative people, just hurtful people that I cannot handle being around. I literally physically shut down when I'm around toxic people. Like it's too much for me. Like it's overwhelming. It's too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Crystal, may I ask you, uh, how at the end of the conversation you will know that you have achieved your goal, that you have your niche, that you have discovered your niche? What will you see? What will you hear? Or what will you feel?
I guess how I would know is I would let my chakras tell me.
Could you
My
repeat it?
chakras, like
Chakras.
yeah.
Chakras. Okay.
Uh, Usually that's what I found to uh, be my guidance. Um, and it's hard because as I say that, um, it goes off for both of them. So it's, I don't know. It's like, do I service empath entrepreneurs who survive child abuse? Is that too much? Is that
How do you usually get connected to your chakras? Letting them tell you what you need.
I do not have I don't know. I usually they tell me. It's not yeah, it's not usually the other way around. Unless I were okay. Unless I were meditating, unless I was intentionally meditating, that would be a way. But usually um, when I'm in the midst of things, I guess I try to pay attention or notice if they're going off to make me aware of something I guess, yeah, it's usually to make me aware of what I need to pay attention to.
If you would listen to your chakras at the moment, what would be they telling you?
I would help more people if I focused on child abuse survivors, adult child abuse survivors. You can I would be able to help so many more people in so many different walks of life, so many different I guess then I circle back to and then this goes back into my self-esteem. Then am I qualified enough to help these people? Because with child abuse, then there also comes a lot of trauma. So I also think that I need to, I think there are also people that need like therapists. So that's where I get a little nervous.
What I hear, there is a question or belief in your mind that limiting you, and that belief is about, am I qualified enough? Am I good enough to do this, to help people who, as a child, was abused? What if you know that you are qualified? Would you go that way? Would you still choose this niche?
Yes, if I knew that I was qualified, I would.
So where do we go from here?
I am qualified to empower entrepreneurs who survived child abuse and those who I find to need therapy. I will explain to them that I cannot help them with the past. I can only help them move forward. And that if they need help, that in order to find help with the past, that they need to find a therapist, but I can only help them move forward.
And what if you leave this definition of your niche as a final definition? Is there anything that we have missed? If we would leave this definition as a final,
Can you clarify for me, please?
yeah, okay, I'll do it. So what I heard from you, that I believe that I can empower entrepreneurs who had child abuse experience, and if I will notice that someone needs a therapist, I will explain it to him or her and advise to attend one. So if this would be the final definition of your niche, how do you feel about it? And is there anything that is missing to leave it a final definition? Is it more clear now?
Yes. Yes. I guess the only thing that I was struggling with before also is if I were focusing on entrepreneurs, then I wouldn't be helping as many people. But I plan on providing on my Instagram enough information for everyone that no matter what, if you're an entrepreneur or not, maybe it will help people to know that they can become an entrepreneur as well and seek that. So, yes. Yes. Because entrepreneurs get stuck, they need help. And I find time and time again, it was through everything, even in this conversation, it always leads back to self-esteem. It always leads back to my mindset around my self-esteem. It always leads back to me figuring out how to set boundaries, how to practice self-care. I've learned how to do all of these things.
What does your chakras tell you about this niche?
My chakras tell me that I am on the right path. They also tell me that this is not my final destination, and I'm okay with that. But they are telling me to move forward.
How can you make this sentence or this insight into an action? What could be the first step that you can do with it after our conversation?
The first thing I am going to do is write it down. I'm going to finalize it, change my Instagram, not in a dramatic way, but in a way that aligns with my purpose. I am going to create my new social media plan. I am going to finalize my lead magnet because I was already going in this direction. So now I'm going to finalize my lead magnet and make everything align with my purpose and with the direction that I'm going in.
What has been the biggest takeaways for you from this conversation till now, till this moment?
That yes, ultimately the biggest takeaway is that no matter where I am in life, I need to practice self-care.
How do you do it daily? How are you taking care of yourself?
My alone time is something that I've always made sure that I had. But I also have workaholic tendencies, and I tend to I'll do like 5 minutes of meditation and then that's it. And then I dive into my work. But that's also ultimately has to do with my lack of self-esteem because I want to move my business forward, to push myself, to prove to myself, to prove to others when I need to. That needs to be just part of it and not my entirety of my morning. So I really need to, I did actually before, literally maybe like 10 minutes before our call, I downloaded a new yoga and meditation app. So that is what I am going to do. After I write down my niche, then I'm going to do a yoga practice. And then I'm going to work on my lead magnet.
Is there anything else how you are taking care of yourself?
So I will be incorporating more yoga, longer meditations. Gratitude is something that I've always focused on, and gratitude is the pillar of, that's the ultimate pillar. That's the first thing that I do in the morning. That is something that I turn to when I get stuck. So that is my foundation. And then also incorporating Bible study. I've gotten away from, my meditations are a mini Bible study, but not actually a journaling Bible study. So I need to incorporate that as well.
If we end our session at this moment, is there anything that we have missed?
No, I need to write them all down, and then I need to make a clear schedule of how to fit them in, whether I do yoga with my daughter, whether I incorporate it in another part of my day, but I need to not just talk about it in our session, but I need to put it in my actual schedule so that it's not just something that I do after this call, but something that I do daily, and something that is intentional, and making it a habit so that it's easy and that that it's just something that I do daily.
You are telling I have to do this. I have to put it
I'm
into
going
my
to.
schedule. When are you going to put it into your schedule?
I'm going to do it right now. Yes. I just don't want a journaling, Bible study, meditation, prayer, gratitude. Yoga.
And what is the best time daily for doing it?
The best time daily is in the morning, is around this time. Yes, the best time is usually for me is like in between 3:30 and 5. Then I usually am coaching in some sort of way, either being coached or coaching at this time. And then that means from 6 till about 7:30. I can say goodbye to my husband before he leaves for work and make his lunch, and then also have a little bit more of self-care. But I can also include my daughter in my yoga practice. So I can do a little bit now and then maybe do a little bit later, so that I can pass this on to her so it becomes part of her healthy daily routine.
Let me check with one question. Why is it important for you to take care of yourself?
It's important for me to take care of myself so that I can be a good mom and I can be a good wife. And so that I can live in abundance. Because if I don't take care of myself, then I really don't have self.
Mm. Mm. What is the biggest takeaway for you from this conversation?
That I need to practice what I preach. It's always something that I help other people with. And then as an empath, we try to help other people, and then we don't take care of ourselves.
Mm. Okay. You realize that you put a time in your calendar when you're going to do this? How do you see, is there anything that could go wrong with that?
Life.
For example?
If my daughter wakes up earlier, if she, sometimes there have been mornings where she can wake up at 3:30 in the morning. She'd wake up at 5. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Mm-hmm. Or my mother could send me a text message implying gaslighting text message. So that often throws me off kilter. And I guess realistically, anything that I'm unprepared for.
Mm-hmm. What can you do to be more prepared for it? For it, by it I mean that life will happen.
What can I do to be more prepared for it? As in, like, making my schedule the night before? Is that what you're asking?
Not really. What I wanted to ask is what are you going to do at those moments when life will happen? When you have your plans, but suddenly your daughter wakes up earlier or your mother sends you a message. What are you going to do those moments?
Practice gratitude. Yeah, that has been my saving grace, for sure. Yes, that is what has been helping me stay grounded in those times where I don't have time to do taking my daughter as my teacher. So my husband and I have taught her to take deep breaths and count to 3. And this weekend, my mother was trying to gaslight me. My daughter obviously didn't know what happened, but she knew that I was upset. So she told me to take a deep breath, mommy, and count to 3. And then she counted to 3 with me. She'll be 3 in August.
Wow.
So she told me to take a deep breath and count to 3. Then I counted to 3 out loud, and she waited, and then she clapped and told me what a good job.
Wow.
So she is such a blessing. And then it also makes me proud because we taught her that. And it just reminds me that no matter what, as I get trapped in my, as I find myself quickly getting trapped in self-esteem and that whole cycle, she quickly snaps me out of it of, what are you talking about? Look at this child. she doesn't have the childhood that I have. She's not going to have the childhood that I had.
I say that not only you are blessed with being her mom, but also she is blessed with you as her mom. What do you need to hear at the moment the most?
I'm just happy.
What's the reason of it?
Because I'm going to do amazing things. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm also an empath, so tears come in all forms, and I'm okay with it. Yes, and I'm excited for the journey, and I'm ready for the journey, and I'm equipped for the journey. I also need to add affirmations into my routine.
And is being empath a strength or a weakness for you going this way?
It's a strength for sure. It is a blessing. It is a strength. It is the opposite of what I was. I get it. Because it is a strength, my mom tried to use it as a weapon to try and make me feel weaker because it's not that I'm sensitive to things, it's that I'm willing to speak up about them. It's that I'm aware of bad things that happened and that I don't just brush them off because they are so overwhelming to me that I can't ignore them.
At the beginning of our conversation, you wanted to find out your niche. Where are we now?
I can still help empaths, but I can help now so many more people than just empaths. I don't have to ignore empaths, but I do not need to focus solely on helping them. I can help even more people while still having a niche.
Is there anything else needed
Just to thank
at the
you.
moment?
Thank you so much for your patience, for your space, for your time, for your guidance, for your gentleness. Thank you.